Hello and welcome back, everybody. Thank you very much for joining me tonight. Got my headphones on because we're going to be listening to some audio. Glad that you're here with me. Boy, last night was an exciting night. I should get rid of, let's see, let me go to Do Not Disturb. There we go. Exciting night. I brought up to you guys that I was within 300 subscribers of getting to 90,000 subscribers on the channel. And within just a couple of hours, we had surpassed 90,000, which was pretty fun. But now we are about 1,000 more than we were at this time last night. So I'm so glad that so many of you are finding the channel and are deciding to support me by liking, sharing, subscribing, commenting. So glad that this community is building. This is really a lot of fun. Quick reminder that I use this little piece of software here on my end for live streaming. I'm going to be switching up here in the next little while, but the best way for me to be able to see the chats that you want me to see is to put GF in that chat. For example, Rosa Christensen is saying, Gavin, has Jen Soto's mom or sister given or had interviews? I'd love to hear from them. Yeah, there's one that I can think of, and I've got it. So we will probably, it's a sister, and we will be getting to that over the next week or two, probably. We've got a lot to go through. So yeah, thanks Rosa for that question. And then that's just a very good example for everybody that if you want me to see your comment, just put GF in the comment and we will, I will see it. Okay. Tonight we're continuing on with our coverage of the murder of Madeline Soto. Madeline was 13 years old when she died. The story that her mom's boyfriend gave was that he took her to school. She slept on the way. He was going to take her to McDonald's. She didn't want to go. He dropped her off a little farther from school because she didn't like to be seen in his car. And then when her mom goes to pick her up later that evening, she had never been at school. That was the that was the story, right? We all know what had actually happened, or what the police allege actually happened, is that Stephen Stearns murdered her and summarily discarded her body in a kind of rural area in a field near some bamboo. Anyway, little Maddie was 13 years old when her life was snatched from her. But she had been living for 5 years at least, living a hellish life, being abused by Stephen Stearns. Now, I have questions. You guys know I have questions. I think that there is some culpability for Jen, for sure. I think that she was pimping out her daughter to her sick boyfriend. And little Maddie was the victim in all of that. Tonight, what we're going to do is we're going to listen to part of a recording from one of the roommates that lived in that house. Now, just so you know, for those of you who are new, if you go over to my website, gavinfish.com, click on cases, and Maddie's up at the top because everything is organized chronologically. Click on Maddie's picture and you will get to the case file. In the case file, we have all the videos that we've done here on the channel. We have many audio recordings. And if you're a patron of mine, there's a link below to that. But if you're a patron of mine, you have full access to all the recordings. Of course, if you're not a patron of mine, you don't have to worry about it because we do videos like this and we go over the recordings. But then there's case documents, there's so much, crime scene photos, and this is getting me to where I wanted to go. Like, this is the apartment that they all shared. It was a 4-bedroom apartment. Each bedroom had a number on it, and yeah, so their roommates were renting a room in this apartment, this kind of townhouse, like a 2-story townhouse, owned by Jennifer Soto's dad. So you can go to the website and you can see this. For example, that is Stephen Stearns' Sig Sauer. Lots of pictures, from all of the rooms. So you can kind of see that. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to listen to, the interview is about an hour and a half long. I have shortened some of the redacted areas so we can tell that something is being redacted, but we don't have to wait for the entire thing to pass. I also edited off about the first 3 minutes where they're not really talking. The interview hasn't begun. So I kind of felt like, let's begin the interview right where they're actually talking about, let's start it where the interview starts. So they're talking about the case, the life in the apartment building, or in the apartment, the townhouse. Last thing I should say is I've amplified this recording a little bit so that you can hear it okay. I've also enhanced it a little bit because it was recorded in a very echoey room. It was very distracting, kind of hard to hear. So I spent some time and I enhanced it a little bit. I didn't want to lose anything. Sometimes when you use AI to enhance something, you'll lose details. Unlike the last one, this interview is conducted in English, so we won't need any translation on my part. But let's go ahead and begin with the interview of Natalie Rosero. This interview took place on March 7th, 2024 at 10:38 a.m. Remember that Maddie was reported missing on February 26th. Her body was located in this field. And actually, let me just kind of show you real quick. I'll just kind of bring you over to the website here. Kind of see this bamboo area up in here. She was in this bamboo area. So she was found in that field on March 1st. So the 7th, we're talking about a week later after having found her body. So, of course, they know that Maddie is dead. She's not a missing person at this point. She is a murder victim. And let's go ahead and just start it from there. I think we'll listen to about a half hour. We will chat about it along the way. And then if you have anything that you would like me to see, just remember to put GF in the comment. All right, here we go.
All right, so just for the record, I'm saying it is March 7, 2024. The time is 10:38 a.m. This is a reference to case number 24001896. And we are at, what's his address? Morris, Detective Reyes Soto. And spell your first name for me?
Nathalie.
And your last name?
Rosero.
And your birthday?
That's actually something, her birth date is something I redacted out.
And what is your phone number?
Calls.
I think that's pretty much all the redactions in the entire recording.
Because of my work, unfortunately, sometimes my personal number gets used. So I get a lot of robocalls.
Right.
So I do apologize.
Yeah, no worries.
I can save your number and like that.
Yeah,
before this part of the recording started, he had said, "Hey, I've been trying to call you, trying to get a hold of you." That's why she's saying, "Yeah, I get a lot of robocalls, a lot of spam calls. That's why I probably didn't call you back."
I leave here, I'll give you my cell phone number. So then if we have to communicate, then you have that number saved and I'll pop up.
For sure.
So before we start, if I could just get you to raise your right hand. Do you swear and affirm that the statement you're about to give is the truth, nothing but the truth to the best of your knowledge, so help you God?
Yes.
Okay. So you're kind of aware of what's going on with
so cool to have
Jennifer
so many new people.
Soto and her daughter Maddie, and what happened with Madeline. I'm assuming you know.
I can tell you because I've been super blinders. I know that something happened to Madeline, more than likely in the property, and that obviously because a child is involved, naturally DCF, and there has, for the sake of Maddie, there has to be a deep investigation. That's as far as I know.
Okay.
So because I don't talk to anybody about this, I've been really at home. My boss gave me the time off, so I've been just healing here.
Perfect. Keep doing that. This is a lot.
I don't know if I would believe that. I mean, She's saying, no, I don't know anything that has happened. I've taken the time off of work and I've just stayed at home, decompressing, healing. But the story is all over the place. So I think she's probably underselling.
And being that you were kind of close to the situation, it makes it that much worse for you, So if you have family support and stuff like that, that is the best thing for you, And if your boss is giving you time off, then it makes it even better. Yeah. Or if you're still getting paid, but it is what it is. So, all right, I'm just going to start kind of from the beginning. How did you and Jennifer become to know each other?
So I first met Stephanie Soto. She's my best friend.
Okay. Stephanie is Jennifer's sister.
Yes.
Okay.
And I'm pretty sure we met in middle school, but we got really close in high school.
Okay.
And then getting close, like you meet family. I met her mom, and her stepdad, and like her little sister. Then met Jen. At some point, once we graduated, all three of us moved in together. And I think we lived together for maybe 9 months, 10 months. Like I was like 18, 19. And then Jen got pregnant with Maddie, and then she moved out. And then we all took our separate lives, but we stayed close. And because we ended up having children the same age, we kept the kids together. So Maddie was one of my son's first friends.
Okay.
So because my son's 12, Maddie's just turned 13. So that's kind of, in that process of raising kids together, like you kind of form like a sisterhood.
Oh my goodness, guys, this is so reminding me of my childhood. I feel so sorry for that 12-year-old boy in all this, man. We forget about all of the other victims in this, right? Those of you who have been around my channel for a long time know that I lost a close friend when we were 14. But the difference, of course, and I've never gotten over it. Like it still is a painful thing for me. And in that case, like, he had been sick for 2 years. In this case, Maddie was his first friend, and her life was just, taken suddenly, violently. Oh man, that poor kid. I am very sorry for him.
And with Jen, I always felt a little bit close because we shared just, I guess, similar struggles, like with anxiety. And like, I feel like she was able to share with me, like I was able to share with her, like just anxieties of motherhood sometimes,
She's easy to talk to.
Yeah, and I felt like naturally, me as a person, I'm very much like, I want my peoples to do good. Like, I don't want anybody around me to fail because that's a reflection of who you are. So even throughout this entire time, I've been helpful, like just trying to like help the family as much as I can. That's just the personality that I am. So I kind of gravitated to her because I felt like she needed that too, So.
Well, wait a minute. You just said that you've been healing and you have no idea what happened, but you're also saying that you help people, help the family heal. I feel like those two values are in conflict with one another here. Okay.
At some point, I needed a place to stay. I was, having lived on your own and then having come back home. You crave wanting to have your own space at some point. And Jen had the room available, and I still happened to be a master, so I didn't have to share a bathroom with anybody. And that's how we get to the point where I'm there. But our friendship spans from since I first met her.
Gotcha.
We just kind of developed that because I was best friends with her sister. We never, to this day, she was her sister.
When did you move into the place in Venetian Bay?
2000. I feel like I almost made it 2 years. In January, it would have been 2 years.
Okay, so 2022-ish? Mm-hmm. Okay. When you moved in, who all was living in the house?
Jen, Maddie, there was and I never call her name. I'm very much like in my own world always, but she was like an older lady, maybe like 30. I'm sorry. I forget how old I am sometimes. Sorry. But she was like maybe 39 by 2 years ago I was moved in. I was 2 years.
An older lady at 39. I'm sorry. I can't let that. Tomorrow I turn 49. Oh my goodness. That is hilarious.
32. So she kind of seemed older to me, but she was always to herself, hardworking. And then Angelica, which she lived right next to me. Mm-hmm. And then myself. So we have 4 females essentially.
Okay.
Live together.
At any point between 2022 and now, did anybody move out and move in?
The older lady.
Okay.
She moved out.
Do you know roughly when?
I want to say like 6 months after, like between 6 or 7 months after.
After you moved in?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So summertime of 2022-ish.
Yes. I mean, because we didn't live with her for too long after I moved in.
Okay.
And I'm thinking to spend 2 years, right? Mm-hmm. So it had to be within the 6 months that she left.
Okay. So she moves out. Does anybody move into her room?
No. I think that they wanted to keep it open to possibly rent it out. Mm-hmm. As much as I wanted to rent it out for my son, it just wasn't something that I could do at the moment.
Gotcha. Now, I know because I've been inside the house or condo, townhome, whatever you want to call it, and I see bedrooms are numbered. So downstairs is the master bedroom. Then upstairs is 2, 3, and 4. Mm-hmm. So what number were you staying in?
2.
Okay.
Corner, right?
She said
corner
2.
Bath, with the master bathroom.
And recently, so within the last few months, Angelica was still staying there. Mm-hmm. Do you know what room she was staying in?
Next to me, so I think she was number 3.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure. It was to my, when it comes in, she was to my right.
Okay, and was anybody staying in number 4?
So, once this lady moved out, they had it open for a good amount of time. And then, so within, I want to say the time that this lady moved out, at some point, Stefan moves in. And the reason why, so like Stefan, for like the last 5 to 7 years, I want to say, has been like, he was part of the furniture type shit. Like he was in the surroundings. Mm-hmm. So like,
hey, Pineapple, I just wanted to let you know, we'll come back to your question. That's a great question. We'll come back to it.
Seeing him move in wasn't something that like, because at that point I had known about him and seen him, mm-hmm. like it didn't seem like a big deal. I mind my business, right? Like mm-hmm. I do my due diligence for me and my son. Mm-hmm. I can only ask that for like, the people around me. Mm-hmm. So in that situation, because he never came at me at all with anything, I stayed in my business. I stayed in my little corner. He stayed downstairs. And then at some point they break up or they have some type of issue. He needs his space or whatever the fuck. He moves upstairs.
Okay.
So, and I want to say he lived upstairs for like maybe 3 or 4 months. And then at some point he leaves. Once he leaves, I don't know what happens once he leaves.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I think this does match up with what, let me see. Yeah, what Chris and Deb Stern said. Like they were paying his rent and then he came back down to Northport, lived with them, and then at some point went back up and was living in room number 4 again. So I think the police they're not really learning anything new so far, but it is corroborating what other people are saying. Kathy, no, today is not my birthday. Tomorrow is my birthday. Number 49. My last year in my 40s begins tomorrow, October 3rd, which, I don't know. My wife has been pretending like I've been 50 for the last 5 years. She's hilarious, but yeah. 49 tomorrow. All right, let's keep going. Here.
Then you start seeing him come back around just to like visit. And again, I mind my business. I'm in and out. I see him like, yo, what's up? Jen, you good? We keep it moving. Like, that was just like the everyday life, right? Like that was it. So once he starts, at some point, I guess, at some point I didn't even know he was here. Like I had no idea, but that room ends up being used for him to be able to be there and help her if like she needed help with the dogs or something like that. Again, what I'm saying now is what pretty much, because I didn't understand why he was here. Like I didn't know he was here. So by the time I'm being told that Maddie is gone, I'm like, well, what do you mean? Who dropped her off at school? Stefan. Okay, well, what the fuck is Stefan here? Oh yeah, he stayed there overnight. I was like, what the fuck? But anyways, so like at some point, I guess because it was open.
So the way she's telling the story is I'm showing the wrong picture. Why am I showing Chris and Deb Stearns? There's Maddie. What she's describing, not knowing that Stefan was in the room. But when we look at, and you know, who am I to say what her lived experience is? But when we look at room number 4, I'm going to bring you over to the website here real quick. Like it looks like, it looks like he's moved in. Let's see. What is this? This might be Jen's room. Yeah, like it looks like he's moved in. Like there, or is he just kind of visiting here? Do we just have a couple of things? We've got his bug out bag, his gun, and a couple things in there, or is he moved in? That is my question. I don't think I have the answer to that question, but it does appear that he's living there. But the way Natalie is describing it is like, what? Stefan is here? And that's rather odd to me.
Then that allowed him to be able to have somewhere to stay with, I guess, when he was trying to help Jen with the dogs, something like that. But the point is, within the time that I stayed there, he lived upstairs for like 4 months, and then he dipped out. At any point, if they used that for him to stay at some point, if I didn't see him downstairs, I didn't know, because I was just in and out. But from what I remember, he stayed there for 4 months, and then he left.
Okay. So before we dive into that dynamic, relationship-wise, so what was your relationship with Angelica?
So Angelica's a very nice person. She's a very cordial person. You can tell that that she comes from like a family that taught her like about her culture. Mm-hmm. She would cook a lot. And like, I'm not the best cook, so like I like to learn and I like to see, and especially if food smells good, me and my son are there, you know? Yeah. So it ends up being like a little bit of like, because Maddie was downstairs, we ended up kind of watching her cooking together. Mm-hmm. But that's as far as it really goes, because again, you know, I'm an operation manager. I work between 40 to 50 hours a week.
Where do you work at?
It's called Integrity Reconstruction and Roofing. So we work in like plumbing and service industry, like the service, like plumbing industry. Mm-hmm. So we go to people's houses and
gotcha.
Yeah, like fix their plumbing. Mm-hmm. But anyway, I pretty much run like 3 different departments. Mm-hmm. So I'm just always like in and out. But as far as like every time I talked to her, it was really pleasant, high and by. If I sat down and spoke to her, it was like we had like a Valentine's Day type of situation, because like we were all like at that point single, and like it's, especially for her, she doesn't really have anybody out here, so like we just try to do something special together. And I get to know her and her situation, but it wasn't anything like, I'm not like, even to now, if I check in with her, it's just to make sure she's okay. But like, am I talking to her every day? I never really spoke to her every day. If I spoke to her, because I saw her in the kitchen cooking, essentially.
So when you would live there, you said a majority of your time was spent in your bedroom. Any point that you would hang out in the living room? I know some of the living room was partitioned off from Maddie.
Yeah.
Did everybody kind of gather around the living room, or did everybody pretty much stay themselves in their room?
So, if we gathered, it was because either like I was cooking and Jeremiah and Maddie were watching me cook, or we were having a.
By the way, guys, so you can kind of envision this. This is the living room that they're talking about. There are these partitions, and behind it is Maddie's quote unquote bedroom, right? So they have like a little dining area here. Looks like they've got one of those cat litter boxes, and then Maddie's room is behind that. It does seem like everybody just kind of, this is Maddie's space here, just kind of kept to themselves the way it's described. Yeah, she's got, a little cat tree there, and she's got a bed and everything, but apparently didn't sleep there. She slept in Jen's bed. But that, I just wanted to show you that so that you can see kind of what they were talking about.
Birthday get together or Easter get together. Like, we try our best to keep the kids together throughout the occasions, just because all of us are so busy throughout the week. And when I mean us, I mean like the group of kids. It was Maddie, Aloysia, and Jeremiah.
Lisa, I'm going to come back to this one.
Those were the kids that were typically together, and Aloysia's sister.
Who's Aloysia?
It's Stephanie's daughter.
I gotcha. Okay. Yep.
So those were the moments that we would really congregate around that area. But as far as on a day-to-day, I was mostly upstairs. Because if we were home, it's because we had finished going to school, picking up the groceries, taking my son to therapy. The errands of the day were done, and our time to kind of like calm down, start our night routines. That's the time that we were pretty much home. Is during the time that we're settling down, going to sleep.
Somebody correct me if I'm wrong here, but I think that Natalie's son was like on the autism spectrum, or had some kind of mental health that required some help. And I believe it was described to me that he had a very structured, life. Basically, his day-to-day was very structured. I kind of wonder, living in this situation where you basically have 3 households in one domicile. I mean, you think that they were trying to, she's trying to like not be in people's way, so go up to the room, that kind of thing, or maybe they want their own privacy. I don't know. It's just it's a different manner of living that I don't quite understand. Yeah. So let's see. You're saying yes, he was autistic. So yeah, it sounds like she had a pretty good control over his needs. I'm just wondering the kind of, this is just a very strange living situation. But I can understand that Natalie would be comfortable living with Jen, having been lifelong friends with her older sister, so they've known each other since middle school. So maybe it felt more like it was 2 families, and then like there was another person that was there. It's just kind of a strange living situation for me. I have a hard time understanding it.
And then the next morning, we're back outside. Either, whether it's the weekend, we're out. We're either walking, hiking in the lakes, trying to keep ourselves busy. If I was home, it was momentarily take a nap, get ready, be out again, parents' house. So just intentionally for my son. I try to keep myself really busy because I work so much throughout the week.
Gotcha.
So if there wasn't really, in my eyes, the only time that we were really downstairs were when we were celebrating something or having like a special like little event or get together for the kids.
All right. So Stefan, how long? Okay, so you've lived there 2 years. Was Stefan already living there at the time, or?
So I know, and like I said, he was very much. It seemed like he was part of the furniture type. Like he was just around for so long in the background that like I want to say that when I started living there, he was already like. If he wasn't moved in, he was already like settled in type.
Would it fair to say that he was already established there, like clothes and?
I think so. Like belongings, but like really in her life, yes. Like like he believe me, like, and it's so weird knowing just the all little stuff that I know now because you're around someone for so long. And it's like you don't really ever know anybody like at all. But anyways, unfortunately, seeing him wasn't something like I said, he was part of the background.
Hey, Virgie, no, I've never played this on my channel, but you've probably heard it before. It's been played on other channels.
What was your relationship with him?
So I don't like. My only issue with him really was that throughout the time of if they ever had like a fight or a breakup, the venting that I received from Jen was that, you know, he didn't provide at all and he didn't like. So, I mean, I have my expectations for someone that I'm with and like we share those expectations, me and Jen, and he just wasn't living up to that. And it was mostly because of whatever mental health stuff. Listen, everybody has their mental health. I don't want to judge anybody, but those still got to get paid. And that was always my issue. And when I don't like to be ingenuine. So when I feel that way, I keep you at like an arm's length. Like I don't really get close to you like that. Like if I can't really fucks with you like that, like I'm not really around you being fake like that. So that was how I kept him. And again, very much part of like the scenery. Like
Gotcha.
He didn't stand out to me like.
Would you consider him a friend?
No.
Okay.
No, because I never spoke to him outside of the hi and bye. I never had his number. If I know anything about him, it's because Jen would vent to me the issues that they would have as a couple.
What kind of issues would they have?
Hey, PJ, that's a good description. It does seem like it was kind of a flop house.
It's the having to. He was at the house and like, because he lived there longer than I did for sure. So, just not bringing in money of his own, really, not being able to hold a job and really whatever mental health issues he had. Being that the crutch of why he can't do and operate.
Now, did you form this opinion prior to all of this happening within the last week, or have you talked to Jen and you kind of came up with the same?
They've been together for they were together for 5 or 7 years between that, and this is feedback from all these years.
Okay.
So once we started living together, the venting, there was no communication in regards to the relationship, just because once you start living together, I want to be able to hold the peace, and she does too, and it's hard to let someone in when you live with them like that. I don't want, if she ever needed to talk to me about anything, I know that she would. But when we started living together, we didn't talk as much as when we did when we didn't live together. I would see her every day. If we took the kids to the pool, then we had like maybe 15, 20 minutes to catch up while the kids were at the pool. But we wouldn't really talk about Stefan. Like, I think it came to a point where she had talked and vented so much to me when they finally broke up, that
So, other than, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
I'm going to pause this here real quick, Night Heron. I didn't know that Flophouse is an offensive word, but I do believe that this group of people, with the exception of Stefan, I think we are talking about a group of people of working poor. That, Jen sort of has a job, part-time. Stefan isn't really working at all, but Angelica and Natalie were working hard, and they were trying to recover from, well, Natalie at least is saying, her life didn't go the way that she wanted it to go. And so she had to move back home with her parents. And then she really wanted to get out on her own 2 feet. So yeah, she is working poor, building herself back up. And I think Angelica kind of qualifies for that too. Jen, I think, is more, she is more kind of just living on mom and dad kind of thing. And I think the kinds of things that she is complaining about Stefan, or at least Natalie is describing that she complained about Stefan, she should be looking in a mirror. She's living in a home that is owned by her father. She's not working. She's getting disability. She's not really providing. I know that she got a part-time job. She just started, but it does seem kind of strange that the complaints that she had about Stefan, at least as described by Natalie, I think you could describe as her too. So anyway, getting back to your comment there, Night Heron, I don't think that, I think that at least 2 of the people in this apartment are working poor, building themselves back up. And most of us have been in that kind of situation. I have. In fact, we don't have to go too inside baseball here, but there was a time when Kimberly and I had 3 kids, and we had launched a business. We had savings, and we had launched a business, and it had failed in the first year. We floated and did our best for 3 years. We got to the point where we had lost so much. We had gotten into debt. We had made terrible, terrible decisions. Where did we go? Mom and Dad's. Right? Mom and Dad bailed us out, and that gave us a place for us to put our feet firmly on the ground. 6 months later, we felt exactly the way Natalie was feeling, like we need to be out on our own. And what did we do? With another family, how should I say this? There was another family in a very similar situation to us that we knew and know and loved and love, and we put 2 households into 1 house. So I totally get all that's happening here, and that gave us the place to rebuild our lives. And that's what Natalie's doing here. But I don't think that you shouldn't take offense to this calling it Flophouse. The other term that was being here was like a crash pad, right? The situation's like a crash pad. People are working hard. They're doing their best to get their lives in order or to rebuild or whatever. And this is just where they sleep. So yeah, I think that both of those descriptions are good descriptions. Anyway, let's go ahead and continue.
But did she come out and tell you the reason that they were breaking up is because he's not providing, or were there other reasons?
That was pretty much I think they were fighting a lot. And
what would they fight over? Do you know?
I don't know specific details. I just know that sometimes I would hear them fighting, yelling. But I couldn't really hear specific details. And then, like I said, she really stopped talking to me once they got back together, because I think she felt kind of weird, her talking so much shit to me about him breaking up and then at some point getting back together. She didn't really even tell us that they were back together, to be honest with you. So at some point within the 2 years of me living there, she stopped really venting to me about Stefan and about the relationship. If there was really any issues of wanting to get a job, and I was really proud of her, because she ended up having the job at the Disney concierge, and she was doing super well, like in that mental aspect. But like it wasn't really about Stefan. It was more like about personal, like having to, maintain this job. Like, 'cause she's never really been able to maintain like a really good, stable job herself because of her own issues. So she was really excited about this, and those were the type of conversations that we were trying to have just to kind of stay positive. But I know that the biggest issue that she would tell me when she was venting to me was about him not being able to provide. I think at some point, once he started working, like he would spend money on stupid shit. It was always very financial, the issue that she would vent to me.
That does seem to be a pretty good indicator of just somebody who has failed to launch, right? Somebody who is who's not grown up. You have adult responsibilities, but as soon as you get a little bit of money, and I have questions about where that money came from, by the way, as did Chris Stearns, his dad, right? But he would just play games and buy toys and collectibles and stuff like that. I'm sure that was frustrating. I did like that moment where Natalie was like, I was really proud of her. She was trying to get her stuff together. She'd gotten this job at Disney Concierge, stuff like that. So maybe I'm being a little too hard on her, but maybe she is also trying to get her life in order, and just being attached to this guy. She couldn't move forward. She's like damned in her progression. She can't move forward, I guess. I'm trying to maybe give the benefit of the doubt here.
Gotcha. How was... All right, so when they broke up and got back together, when roughly was that? Do you remember? The last couple of weeks, months, year?
No. He had moved out. He had been out the house, because remember, he went upstairs for like maybe 4 months, and then he had been out the house already for like, I think like between 7 or 8 months before I started seeing him again. Like it was like, I want to say between 6 or 8 months before I started seeing him again.
All right, so within the last couple months, say December of last year up until now, how often do you think you would see him?
Maybe a total of 3 times, maybe. I think.
Anything like significant why he would be coming back? Or just random times? Or
I think the first 2 times I believe he just would stop by. I want to say.
Did Jen say why he would come by?
No, if I saw him, it was because I literally physically saw him, like sitting in the chair where he sit, and I again just, hey, good Jen, good, and then just go upstairs.
Okay. All right. What's your work schedule like throughout? Is it pretty consistent or?
Yeah, I have to be because I go by my son's schedule.
Oh, okay.
So I try to be out the house between 7:45. Well, I have to be out the house by 7:50. But like 7:45 is the time that I'm trying to like be out. And from there, I drop my son off here so that my parents can take him to school. He needs to be at school by 9, and I start work at 9.
Gotcha.
So I'm typically here between 8:15 and 8:20, and then it takes me about 30-40 minutes to get to work, depending on traffic.
I think she's saying here, I think the interview is happening at her parents' house. So to kind of work out the morning of Monday, February 26th, right? She would say she would leave at the latest 7:50. We heard from Angelica that she doesn't wake up. She came down for breakfast between 10:30, 11 o'clock, right? Well, let's see. She was up at like between 9:30 and 10, down for breakfast between 10:30 and 11. And by that point, Stefan was there. So he had a whole window, especially, well, let's see. What time did he say he left? Because he said he left early to get Madeline, they were going to go to McDonald's or something. So I'm trying to figure out, like, would she not have seen him taking a dead body down the stairs and out into his car? I don't know.
So I'm there until, so Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. I'm there between 9, I get there, and 3:30. On Wednesdays, I'm there between 9 and 2:30 because Wednesday's early day.
Early day.
I'll
Right.
come back
Yeah.
to this question.
I'm
too.
assuming he goes to the street right down school right down the street. Okay.
Yeah. So that's pretty much the office work. Once I'm done with that, we either have dinner here or I make something at home. So we could be home between, and that's like, let's say if I don't have to pick anything up, we're home between 6 and 7. We're home between 6 and 7. I finish like an hour of work. He finishes his homework. Then we start getting ready for bed, and we're tucked in by 8:30. I either fall asleep with him, or I stay up watching TV and finishing work until I fall asleep.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. I'm going to now dig into kind of more detailed information. But before I start that, I know you and Jen are friends. You and Stefan aren't necessarily friends. You and Angelica are kind of acquaintances too. And these types of investigations and the seriousness of some of these crimes, we need to get very, very detailed on specific things. Okay. I'm not going to ask you any uncomfortable things, which I don't think are uncomfortable. If you don't feel comfortable at answering some of the things, just let me know, and we can see if we can work around it. Okay. All right. So when the weekend
I like this cop, by the way.
of February 25th, 26th ish. So let's say that's Saturday. So we could go from Saturday.
Okay.
Okay. You were still staying at the townhome? Is that what we call it?
The townhouse,
Okay. You were still staying there, I'm assuming. Living there, I guess.
Saturday, before everything happened, or like, yes, I was still living there up to recently.
Okay.
I moved out because I don't want to be in that house.
Right. Okay, so that's Saturday. Walk me through Saturday.
Okay. I want to say Saturday the 20th. Can I check to see the tickets for...
Yeah, absolutely.
My son likes anime, and a new Demon Slayer movie came out. I just don't know if it was that weekend or the last weekend. These last couple of days have been like one blur. Okay, so today is what day?
Today, Sunday.
The 7th, okay.
That Saturday would have been the 24th. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Yeah, the 24th. Correct.
The Saturday was the 24th, which means I had tickets to go to South Chase at 7:20. Let's see. Okay. Yeah, we were watching this movie at the South Chase Theater.
Okay, in the evening of the Saturday.
Yeah. So
Okay.
we were there for 2 hours starting at 7. Well, it's like an hour and 45 minutes. I was starting at 7:30.
Okay. During the day, were you at home?
Let me think that day. Because we had
It's interesting they're asking about Saturday.
late evening, I believe, I'm just trying to think because we're always like in and out. If I was home between, we left by 6:15, so from 6, okay, because was that Sunday? No, I'm trying to think because we went to Lake Eola. Give me 1 second. Let me look up my financials.
This is a smart woman, man. She's...
I pay everything with cards.
This sounds exactly like how my wife would do it, right? Okay, I don't remember exactly, but let me look at some clues that I might have here, right? Movie tickets, check my bank account, see where I filled up gas or bought things or something. She's doing her best to help with the investigation.
I don't think anybody pays cash for anything nowadays.
There's some places that don't even accept it. It's kind of scary. Okay, the 24th. Let's see.
It's interesting they're asking about Saturday. Sunday seems to be the day that everything happened.
Okay. Okay, I don't have anything on that day, so that means we went. Could we have gone that day?
So did anything as significant happen on Saturday that
That's
you
a
could think of
better
other than...
No, we were really just getting ready for this movie. I know that I at some point wished Maddie a happy belated birthday. I don't remember if that was Friday or Saturday, but I remember that because I felt bad because I had missed her birthday. But no, like, we probably woke up early. I don't have any transactions, meaning we went for a walk.
Hey, let me just pause it there because we're gonna actually come back to this recording tomorrow. But so that's a good place to stop on Saturday. I think they're going to get into Sunday next. There are a couple of comments though that I starred as we went along, and I said I'd come back to them. Pineapple. Hope you or one of your followers can answer my question. Listen, I'm not a leader. You guys are not followers. I know you didn't mean that, Pineapple, but anyway, if Stefan Stearns killed that poor child in the unit, how could he have carried her lifeless body from their unit to the car? I'm flummoxed. Yeah, that's where I was kind of going on the timeline of the day, right? I'm wondering if he loaded her body in the car much earlier in the day, like 5:30 or 6 o'clock, to make sure that nobody saw anything. I'm a little flummoxed too. The next one that I starred was, Gavin, do you think the pig could be responsible for unsolved murdered children in the area? So, I personally don't, but that I have nothing to support that other than what I'm going to tell you. I think most criminals are stupid, and I think that Mr. Stearns is amongst the dumbest. I really do. I think he's dumb, and I don't think that he could have just gotten away with like the worst crime that a person can commit without being caught. I really don't. I mean, this is a person who knew that he had a Google Drive chock full of CSAM photos, including 1,700 of them depicting Maddie, and he still handed over his phone with the stupid excuse that I accidentally reset my phone. Yeah, I think this guy's an idiot. Therefore, I don't think that he's capable of getting away with it. Plus, he's a big enough doofus that, like, he did it in his own home to somebody who he knows. That he's just an idiot. So I don't think so. But just my opinion. Sweet says, do you know if roommates from the past years have been interviewed? The reason that I started this is all of the interviews that we know about so far, that I know about so far, are here on the site. So they're, go up here, there are 24 of them. So Jen, Stefan, Jen, Chris Stearns, Stefan Stearns, Jen, Chris and Deborah, Jen, Angelica, Jen. Here's one that we're going to go over here pretty soon. Marley Alejandro, Brittany DeStefano, Thomas Karras, Stephen Young, Chris and Deb again, Frank Peralta. This is Natalie that we're listening to now. Angelica is the one that we listened to a couple days ago. Then Tyler Wallace, Walter Rosca, Jennifer Soto. Again, this is the one where she got her immunity. And then Chris Stearns that we listened to yesterday. So that's all that I'm aware of at this point. Now, I should give a caveat that it's possible that there are others that I'm unaware of and haven't heard yet. But thank you for that question. Let's see. The next question that I starred says, does anyone know if Jen's family thinks she was involved or are they supportive of her? I haven't heard much. I mean, I think that, I think I'll have to go through and listen to these, but I think Brittany is somehow, somebody help me out here. Is Brittany DiStefano, a relative? I was trying to think about that. I don't know. Cheryl asking, why were there numbers on the bedroom doors? I honestly think the only reason there are numbers on the bedroom doors is because they were renting out the rooms. So they were saying, we have room number 2 for rent right now. It's that sort of thing. I think that's all it was. Stardust Angel says, Stefan was no longer Jen's boyfriend, but everyone keeps saying her boyfriend, including me. And the reason that we say that is just, it's very easy to describe. Like this is the relationship they had. But I take your point. Apparently they had broken up at this point, and you continue to be truthful. She sent her daughter up with a single older male. Sounds bad, but it's more of the truth. Yeah, okay. I take your point. Let me go back over to the comments here. A couple of others have come in. Let's see. Built to Help. Good to see. Art says, Gavin, the townhouse is very reminiscent of 1860s New York City tenement apartments where whole families resided in a room. Yeah. And, I mean, I don't completely understand how these people were living. I do sort of. I mean, I described that. But it is understandable if these are all people that are trying to get back upon their feet, I guess. But yeah, that's a good comparison, built to help. Annabelle Roma, Gavin, or anyone. I heard that according to Maddie's aunt, Maddie left her birthday money at grandma's house. Has anyone else heard that? I can't find it anywhere. I had not heard that. Gavin, since her memory is wobbly, he's trying to walk her forward into the time of the crime. We'll see more solid. Oh, okay. So that is that's a tactic that he used to get her in there. Good job. Lily, thank you very much. Learned something new there. Sassy Hound gives me a happy birthday for tomorrow. Tomorrow's my birthday. Pretty cool. 49. Man, I'm an old man. All the gray in my hair and beard that my children have given me. Okay, Marie Palmer, Gavin, any chance Stefan Stearns was involved with the perv Santa Claus and his now deceased son? I don't even know what that is. I'm sorry, I don't know what case that is. Anything's possible when you're looking at crime here, guys. This is something that, let me give you a little inside baseball here. I have some friends, a married couple that are both retired. One is a Pennsylvania State Trooper. Let's see, I can take this off. One is a Pennsylvania State Trooper and one is a Florida State Trooper, both of them homicide investigators. And I was bringing to them, they actually brought to me a case to look at, and I started digging into it, and I'd come back to them with, hey, this is what I found this, I found that, I found this. And they're like, Gavin, you're missing the forest for the trees, man. Like, if you find something, you just need to ask yourself, is it possible or probable? If it's possible, put it on the back burner. If it's probable, keep it up front. So yeah, is it possible? Is there a chance? Sure. What's the probability? I honestly don't think that Stefan Stearns could get away with doing like organized crime. No matter how loosely organized, I don't think he could. Now, having said that, I do think that he was trading and selling and buying CSAM material, including, I think that Maddie was a revenue source for him, which is gross to say, but that's what I think it is. But I think that he was probably kind of doing that on his own and just kind of knew the community. Do we know how quickly he started abusing Maddie 5 years ago? I mean, I've gone through all the reports. They don't say it all. I can't think of a time that they have described how quickly that went. I would imagine, though, with an 8-year-old, it probably happened pretty quickly. Natalie just described their relationship as having been for the last 5 to 7 years. We know that he had been abusing Maddie for at least 5. So I would imagine it happened pretty quickly, but I do not know. Evil Alaska says, I believe Stefan and Jen's is connected to Santa and St. Cloud. Okay. Yeah, fair enough. Yes. Okay. Brittany DiStefano is Jen's sister. Thank you very much. That's what I thought. So that is a family member. We have a recording of her. We are going to get to that recording. Maybe we can do that on Monday. We'll get to that one on Monday. We'll add that to the queue. Okay. We'll listen to Brittany's recording. Built to Help Art gave a super chat. Thank you very much. He said, another great roundtable. Jamie and Autumn are awesome. And Kingfish leads a great discussion. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. And Jamie and Autumn are awesome. Gavin, so many people under the same roof and no one saw anything. Love your channel. You're a pro. Thank you very much. Yeah, it's weird. It's weird. Unless everybody was just, unless it was kind of like a crash house, right? People were just kind of coming in to crash. Though Angelica, Natalie described her as somebody who would cook meals. So, yeah, it's weird for sure. She-Elf wishes me happy birthday. I'm just a youngin'. You know, every time I was talking with Josh and Sandy Greenberg earlier today, and every time I talk with Josh, he says something like, how are you, young man? And I just like, I'm not a young man. I am an old man. That's funny. Gavin, Santa Claus was in St. Cloud 2 and CSAM. So yeah, maybe they are connected somehow. It's possible. Let's see. DC says, I watch all your content. First time in the chat. Well, DC, thank you for joining. Sometimes it's hard to get through that first barrier, right? But I'm glad that you joined. And we always love newbies in the chat. Thank you very much. And then Borislava, what is that? Kakolevas says, greetings from Australia. Thank you for what you do. I'm turning 49 this month too. Happy birthday to you, Borislava. Not old, mate, just matured. There we go. Finally fermented at this point. Ew. I should have left that last part out. Okay, guys, we are going to continue back on this recording tomorrow, 7:30 p.m. Eastern. We'll finish it up on Friday, and then I will work tonight to get the interview with Brittany DiStefano queued up for Monday so that we always know what's coming next. There's so much to go over in this case. Let's take just a quick moment, take a look at Maddie one more time. 13-year-old little girl who spent 5 of her 13 years being the victim of allegedly this guy. But I'm only saying allegedly because he hasn't been convicted. I do believe everything that the police have on him. And the reason that I believe it is his parents believe it, right? These people who created Frankenstein's monster, they believe it. So little Miss Maddie, I want to keep her in our thoughts. And the sad thing to me, guys, is that there are probably thousands of little Madeline Soto avatars across the fruited plains and the world that are living a similar life. And I just hope deeply that somebody is brave enough, somebody who knows is brave enough to break them out of that cycle so that they don't have the same fate that little Madeline Soto had to suffer. I mean, and that's what the true crime community is all about, right? We want to learn from these things. We don't want to just engage in, sharing horrific stories and I call it murder porn. We don't want to do that. We want to learn from these things. We want to be able to see the signs when things like this might be happening around us in our own lives. So let's keep that in mind. With that, guys, I will bid you adieu. I will see you tomorrow, hopefully. Come on back tomorrow. And with that, I already bid you adieu. So have a great night. See you then. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you liked what you saw, please consider subscribing. And if you have any questions or comments, please leave them below.